Good evening, everybody, for episode 108 of So What's Been Happening. Monday night, the 9th of October. We're rolling back the years now. Things are flying, actually, heading into Christmas. We've got a whole stack of shows lined up, which is fantastic. 3, actually, this week. The first one being Velvet Bloom, and Maddie is going to join us shortly. So that's an exciting one. A star more than in the making. She's a star at the moment, so she's going to be a star for the future as well. So keep an eye on that band. Hear the name Velvet Bloom. You'll know a little bit more about them by tonight. And then Tuesday night, we've got Stephen Holmes from Humble, band called Humble, coming up. So a little bit of a change in tune there. And Wednesday, we have Emily South as well. So there's a few things coming up, and just a couple of little quick gigs to promote on some previous show guests that we've had. Timothy Wolf and the Blue Roses has got a EP launch on Thursday night, this Thursday night, October the 12th at Thornbury Theatre. So make sure you check that one out. Friday night, we've got Emily South's gig, which is a single launch for their new single called Weekend. So make sure you check that one out with Bad Bangs and Kate Alexander. And if that's not for you, the Espy is where you need to be for the Casanovas for their new album launch. So make sure you check that one out for Backseat Rhythms. And then Saturday, off to out on the Weekend, which is always a great one in Williamstown at Seaworks. So make sure you check that out. If there's not one on that list that you don't know or do know, get out there and check it out, because it's a fantastic gig. Always is out on the weekend, especially when the weather's good. So, all right, we're going to bring up Maddie shortly, but what we're going to do is just play a little snippet of a song previously released on the EP called Glimmer. This is a little 30-second teaser for you. So this is who Velvet Bloom are. Yeah, beautiful. All right, let's bring her up. Let's do this. Welcome, Maddie.
Hello.
From Velvet Bloom.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Welcome to episode 108, of So What's Been Happening.
Yeah, well,
you didn't make the first 100. You didn't make the first 100,
sorry.
but you're well and truly into the second now. Thanks for joining us on a quiet Monday night, no doubt.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's really exciting to have you as part of this show. First and foremost, I discovered you guys a little while ago. It was actually during lockdown, believe it or not. I'll give you a little snippet of how it happened, and it was during the Isolade days.
Yeah.
You guys did a little Isolade set, like so many other artists and bands did, and it was. Yeah, through all that negativity of those days, some positives definitely came out of that. And how did you find Isolade for yourself, and just a little bit of reach, obviously, to new audiences that hadn't touched before.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. It was the first time I'd played like music to an audience, I think online. So it was strange, to be honest. Like
Mm.
it's definitely not the way that I'd prefer to connect with an audience, but obviously if it's the only thing that you have, then like yeah, it was a great initiative. And it was nice to have something to look forward to in a music sense. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it sure was. And some of
Yeah.
those were all day, nearly all night gigs for Isolate. So it was an unbelievable effort to continue that project. What started out as a little probably friends jam, kind of almost what started off as, just to chat with some
Yeah.
friends and a couple of muso friends, and then it kind of snowballed from there. So into 100+ shows now that we continue to connect with artists, both
Yeah.
music artists and visual artists that we look forward to chatting to in the future, and sports stars, mind you. So it's long may it continue. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
All right, Maddie, we're going to go a little bit back in time for more than likely when you're a little girl, but maybe you don't remember that far back. Let's talk
Yeah.
about your first memory of music. What was it, and do you remember where you were?
I remember, yeah, you asked me this question before and you incited a memory when you spoke about like hearing a song being played. My great uncle was a jazz musician, and I remember him showing me something that he had recorded, and it was the first time that I'd been into kind of like a rehearsal space. I probably would have been about 4 or 5 at the time, and I just remember being, like, really blown away by just the instruments that existed within the space because you had, like, pianos and drums and, I think a double bass and stuff too, and that was up in, oh, where was it? That was up in Cairns.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
that kicks us off with a little bit of knowledge of somewhat a music family or distant connections, obviously with music as well. So, um, who would you say was one of your very early inspirations that you remember as a kid?
Um, Very early inspirations would include, Ella Fitzgerald, people like Amy Winehouse, and I guess people like Jeff Buckley,
Yeah.
and then kind of in the more commercial realms as well, people like Missy Higgins, I think a little bit later, and I think I remember really enjoying, Casey Chambers as well.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's a good mix there, but I
Mm.
can definitely see a little bit of influence in your music with a few of those for sure. Um,
Yeah.
so it's amazing how that resonates, both I suppose, in your clips as well that you've done, but also in your music, both solo and as a band. So, um,
Yeah.
what's your in? Do you enjoy playing solo as well, as much as you do as a band?
They're very different, environments, but I think I enjoy them both for different reasons. It's really nice to have people connect with, I think, your lyricism, and maybe your emotion in a bigger way when you're performing solo, or at least like in stripped back capacities. But the band just brings like such a nice energy, and it's really nice to have people on stage with you, and to be able to turn around and like see my band members. It's really, really lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing like the magic of a live stage, right?
Yeah, and they're all so talented. It's just like it's very comforting, and really fun. Our shows are always really fun.
Yeah, beautiful to
Yeah.
hear. And do you ever have any of those little pinch me moments when you look back and see the band or see the artist you're playing with, or look out at the crowd, and do you get a chance to ever do that kind of during the gig?
I would say, yeah, I think so. I think you try and be in the moment for the most part, but we did Spicks and Specks last year, and that was crazy. I just yeah, performing that was you've grown up watching something and then you play on it and it's just mind blowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You obviously remember it well. It's a great show,
Yeah.
and nothing like trying to see what TV recordings really like behind the scenes. You touched on before being in a rehearsal kind of space as a band or seeing a band. TV is a very different environment too, isn't it? See what
Totally.
comes through that little
Yeah.
box.
ABC, it was so cool. Like, we walked in and they opened this door that looked like, maybe I thought we were putting our like gear and stuff in there. And then like we kind of walked through the door and then they opened this curtain and it just revealed this enormous studio. And we were like, wait, where did this come from? Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Instruments for you. What's your go-to other than do you play anything other than guitar?
Well, vocals and guitar are my instruments, but like, I mean, I like to play, like, to fiddle with the piano, but I'm definitely not a pianist. It's nice to write, songs on a different instrument because I feel like it promotes different ideas. And sometimes you have different chord choices on different instruments as well, or like the inversions are, they vary. So it's nice to play an instrument that I'm not usually playing sometimes when I'm writing.
Yeah, not just to take you totally out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
it's more just to see what flows, right?
Yeah, totally. More for the writing process, I'd say.
Yeah, cool. All right. I'm going to touch on the next song, Miles Away. It's a beautiful clip that you've put together. I'm going to play probably a minute or so of it from the start, and then we'll talk a little bit about that song. The vocals in it are incredible, I must just say. So incredible result. That just absolutely blows me away every time I listen to it. And the power in your voice, but also the beautiful tonality is incredible. So let's play a little bit of this and then we'll talk about it.
Thanks.
Looking back on memories as I recall them, I see the stitches in our fabric like a perfect little hem. And though they fray and rip, they take patience to mend. I will always have the space to see this through till the end. But it's too heavy to hold on to while you're miles away. And it's too much to ask of you while you're miles away. The press of your lips against my skin, it lingers. Your hands that I do shape to fit all of my fingers. So when the wind shifts and I feel it in my core, I will shed those leaves to find that it is you I adore. But it's too heavy to hold on to while you're miles away.
Yeah, wow. Incredible. Miles Away. It's kind of it talks to me in so many ways, but definitely that line about heavy thoughts that are really hard to deal with while you're miles away. It's beautiful. Really well written, and obviously well performed as well. So just talk to me about the songwriting process, really, with what is it for you? Does it vary song to song, or do you kind of go about the same method?
For that entire EP, I kind of wrote separately, and then I brought it to our guitarist and like co-producer, and he kind of added some different, especially for that song, added the bridge. That song took such a long time to kind of like finesse, I think. I had initially wanted that outro bit to be kind of at the end of each chorus. But then and he liked that idea, and then I decided that I didn't want that and that I wanted it as more of an outro. and and it was hard to convince him, but we got there in the end. It's just
Yeah.
like it's really nice. It was really nice to write an EP that was acoustic and kind of just more me, because there wasn't as many conflicting opinions and stuff. Obviously, when you're writing in a band capacity, there's always so many ideas, and that part of it I really love as well. But it was just, yeah, as we said before, a totally different world when you're doing that kind of thing solo. So yeah, most of the ideas from this EP were written by myself, and then kind of brought to Alex and our friend Jerome as well, who features on one of the songs. And yeah, we just kind of like then explored how to mold it a little bit more together. And I definitely had so much inspiration from those two. They were so wonderful to work with, and definitely made the songs like what they are. So yeah.
Yeah. And in the recording process for you, you mentioned there's, it can ebb and flow a little bit and convince each other which way this is going to go. Do you kind of let that feel go, or is it something that if you're passionate about, you really kind of fight to the death on making sure it's done that way? Or does your inspiration kind of change? You think you've got a way, and then it may kind of change in the recording process?
I think when we're in a band capacity, we're all very good at listening to each other's ideas, which is really nice. And not just kind of cutting it off because it's not what your vision of the song would be. Which is, yeah, again, really great, because it doesn't squash any creativity that could come through. I think that especially with the album that we're writing at the moment, like we have taken the ideas to literally every single place for all of the songs, and like I'm really happy with the outcomes that we've had. And there are certain songs that like I probably wouldn't have, you know, committed to a certain idea, but we took it to a place where it made sense. And yeah, I think it's just really important to listen to the people around you, as well as like trust your instincts. Like I think that there hasn't been a time where we've been like really divided about like what the song's going to be. I feel like it's usually like, oh, I think it should be like this, but let's try something else. But no one's kind of ever been like super for something on opposing spectrums. So like or on opposing ends of the spectrum. So yeah, it's always kind of like if anyone feels super strongly about something, then we'll keep it or we'll work on it or we'll workshop it. But yeah, other than that, it usually flows pretty easily. Like I'm very lucky with my band and the people that I work with. They're all very they listen, so it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. That's always good.
Yeah.
Always good. And that recording process, is that kind of gauged by a combination of obviously time and money, first and foremost? And then when do you know that song's done? Because you can kind of mix these things forever, right?
Uh, a song is never done, in my opinion. You just
Yeah,
decide that that's enough, I think,
for
at a
now.
certain point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it's also really cool to, you finish a song and it is what it is, but then like when you play it again live, you can kind of take it on a whole different journey. And I think that that's like the really exciting part about, having a band that is as talented as the band that I have is. They can take it to a completely different place, which is really nice. It makes the song really fresh when you hear it again. But for example, the songs that we've been working on, like for this album, some of them I wrote in like 2019. So we have taken them like, yeah, to a lot of places, and they've settled in the place they're at. So I think I'm really happy with like the structure of all of the songs and the songwriting and the harmony and stuff, but it's just about like, yeah, executing the performances and stuff. So yeah, we're in recording process at the moment for our album. And we're like pretty deep into it now. I'm kind of just like at the point where we're recording like guitars, and we've only got 2 songs left to track on drums and keys, and then yeah, the rest is just guitars and vocals. So it's
Very
exciting.
exciting. Yeah, super exciting. It sounds like that release may not be too far away in the distant future.
Yeah,
24, will we see it in 24?
yeah,
Perfect.
we were lucky enough to receive a grant for that one. So um yeah, it's really made the recording process a lot easier. And also we had a lovely person called Mark from OPR, which is Open Plan Recording, and he makes incredible microphones, and he's been lovely enough to lend us a heap for the creation of the album. So um massive shout out to him, because honestly I don't think that I've ever had my voice sounding as good as it does on a microphone as it does on that. The EP actually was the first time that I've used those microphones, and I just felt so comfortable with them. And they're so warm, and I have like a pretty harsh frequency up in my like kind of mids, and it kind of just like smooths that out, especially like in a studio. It kind of pops out a little bit more. I think in a live show environment, it's like a little bit different because it's like it cuts through. But
Yep.
in a recording studio, it's so it can be a bit of a tricky one to tackle. But these microphones are just like absolutely like perfect for my voice. So that's been really helpful too.
Yeah. And obviously that gives you some confidence, no doubt that it's not too much work at the end to try and move and master too much. It's very natural to what the recording was.
Mm.
And kind of when do you know when you've got that lyric right at the time when you're
Mm.
recording that, or do you kind of record a few and then get a feel for which one feels or sounds right more than what feels right?
With lyrics, like they're very, very much written, I'd say, before I even bring the songs to the band.
Yep.
But when it comes to like takes, I feel like in the moment, or like, especially if you're recording with like a group of people, you're like everyone just like there's a moment where everyone's like,
Yeah.
that was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it hits like an emotion. For example, like there are some points in time where like, your voice will like crack, but in like a way that is really raw and real and shows an emotion that like you wouldn't usually get from a take if you're just like singing it perfectly, and it adds that human element. And that's what I really love about music. I think I've grown to love it a lot more as well, like the rawness. I think I always used to kind of get rid of that and kind of sing it out of my takes.
Yep.
But yeah, I've been leaning a lot more into that with this album, which is it's good. I'm being encouraged to do that by my band, because they're like, it doesn't have to be perfect. We want the rawness. So
Yep.
that's really nice.
Yeah, there's definitely that sound when you can feel that emotion,
Mm.
and that can come across. Just tell us a little bit about Miles Away, and the meaning for you.
Yeah, so I wrote that song when I was it was like a pretty hectic tour schedule. And probably like the most hectic tour that I had been on to date. And I was away from, my home and stuff, and I had like a lot on my mind, and I just felt like I had to have all these conversations. And then I was like, why would I do that when I'm not even like present in the conversations for them to be had? Like, you're so
Mm.
far away from it, and you're having them through either a screen, or like you're not even seeing the other person. And it's yeah, it's not a nice way to interact in my experience. So yeah, I just kind of like, it was kind of more of a letter, I guess, to myself, and having like a bit more clarity before I kind of like went and had a conversation that I wanted to have, or the conversations that I wanted to have. It was just kind of more solidified. And it was really nice to have that as well, just kind of reflecting and reminiscing on like things that are great. But sometimes, you know, your mind just like focuses on like the thing that's wrong instead of all of the other things around it. Especially when like you're in a stressful period of time. So sometimes you just have to take yourself away from that and, yeah, really see the bigger picture. I'm not always very good at that.
Some wise words there from a young lady for sure. Yeah, it is so true. It's some people, as you know, can sometimes be away and find it easier to deliver sometimes good and bad news to people from afar,
Yeah.
and how they choose to do that. I think the magic is to and not hear that little bird in your head if you're in with the person that you're talking to and need to talk to. You don't hear that element of don't say this, don't say it yet,
Yeah.
or sometimes you just got to roll with it, right? And that's
Yeah.
where the true emotion comes from. So much can get lost in translation other ways.
Fully.
So
And it's like, sometimes you actually just need some time to think about the whole thing. I feel like I'm very, like I very much react on, or like act on emotions, and if I feel something or if I think something, like it, yeah, I'm impulsive and it has to be said. So, yeah, it's good practice to just like leave it for a bit, and
yeah,
come back to it at a later date once I've had some time to think about it.
yeah, some more wise words for sure. All right, we're going to play another emotive song. This has got the EP album cover that just sits as the visual, but the song is "So Long, Farewell, Goodbye." But this is beautiful. Here we go.
So farewell, goodbye. Longing prevails as I exhale. The distance between us grows. I've taken this love and memory of you away, 'cause it hurts me so. How long has it been? How long has it been since I've seen your light? So long, farewell, goodbye. You couldn't stay. You wanted to find a way, but life can be so unkind.
Life can be so unkind, that's for sure. This is an amazing 3-track EP.
Oh,
I
thank
just
you.
want to put it out there. It's not the first time you would have heard that. You must be so proud of this particular EP, in all the
It,
work you've done so far.
yeah, it feels like, you know, we wanted to release this EP or an EP in kind of as a holder, a placeholder for the album. And I kind of, my guitarist again had mentioned like, hey, let's do it solo, or let's do it more acoustic, and let's make it like really special, but kind of like showcase, you know, the rawness and the lyrics, and you know what your music is without the band. And I really appreciated that from him, because yeah, Alex, our guitarist, is one of the most incredible musicians. Like, he orchestrated a lot of the soundtrack, like, under my guitar and my voice, and he plays this instrument. Well, he plays electric guitar with an ebow in the
Yeah.
last parts, and just like the harmonies that he was getting, like, he really feels the emotion of like what I'm singing, and I think complements it heaps. So yeah, I'm really proud of the body of work. And yeah, it's just strange. Like, sometimes in terms of like commercial success, like, I I don't know. I think you always have expectations for your music, but like, it for me, and especially like looking back at it now, it kind of like doesn't matter, because it's just like, yeah, it is some of the songwriting that I'm most proud of that has been released to date. So um yeah, I'm really proud of it as well.
Yeah, I think the most important part is that it's recorded and it's in the vault and it's out there, and it's not
Mm,
necessarily for everyone right now.
yeah,
But like me, I discovered it, in a weird way and over time, and it's out there, and it kind of just resonated me with right now. So it's kind of, that magic of recording and putting albums out. Um, yeah, is there forever. So it's just a matter of when you reach it, and that's the magic of music, right?
totally. And I think as well, it's like, it's really nice to have a body of work that is kind of a lot more reflective of my writing and like how I sound solo, or at least at kind of like a smaller capacity. So I was able to tour this EP with Jay, Jerome, and Alex, and yeah, it was like one of my favorite tours, just because like we, especially for the Victoria shows, like we decked the stage out and had like our couches on stage, and it just felt like you were in like our lounge room. And so
Mm.
it was super intimate. It was really nice to have everyone sitting down as well at a show and kind of be so attentive. I was like so shy on stage.
Yeah, right.
I hadn't experienced that for a really long time. It's just like, yeah, it was so silent. So it was lovely, but it was also like, ah.
Yeah, yeah. What was your favorite venue on that tour?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Was there
Well,
was there one particular one that was really kind of super magic for you?
I think that the first show, so I live on Bunurong Country on the Mornington Peninsula, and the first show we had was in Mornington, and like there was a lot of friends and family, I guess, who had been like a part of the process in some way. Like, they'd heard early stages of the songs, or they'd heard demos of the songs before they'd been recorded. And yeah, it was just so special to have them there singing the songs that had been out for like maybe 2 weeks or something, like, because they had listened to them outside of, our release. That was really special for me. But also, the Tassie shows, because Jay's from Tassie initially, he's just moved up to Melbourne. He actually lives with us now, which is really nice. But um yeah, he has been living in Tassie for the past 6 years, and every time we ever play shows down there with him, they're just, the people there are so gorgeous. It's really special, and it feels like a second home now, I think, with their whole community that they have down there, and their, like, beautiful music community, but also, like, the music lover community. They're really beautiful people. Yeah.
Okay, so if you could pick a venue right now to go and play at tonight, you got to
Tonight,
you got to find me one. We're going to be there
uh,
at 9 o'clock.
I think
Think
for
how
me,
long it's
the
gonna take to get there? I can transport you there. Where would it
alright,
be?
um
And what kind of size crowd really, do you like performing to?
well, I think the novelty of, like, performing at the Forum is something for a lot of, Melbourne musicians, at least, or, like,
Yeah,
Victorian musicians. I've never played there. I've seen heaps of friends play there, and it's always been, like, such a big milestone when they do, and you're just, like, so proud.
yeah,
Um, yeah, a support slot at the Forum would be, like, an absolute dream, I think. Just the way that that venue, like, looks and sounds, it's so stunning.
yeah. I think you're underselling yourself too with a support slot position.
Nah.
Absolutely, you can headline one day.
Oh, one
That's
day.
really the dream, isn't it? Yeah.
But you're talking
Obviously,
about
but
25 minutes.
no, no, it's that's just an off the cuff comment. But absolutely, no, you'll be ready
Yeah,
to go very soon.
I
Headlining some
hope
big gigs for sure, no doubt. Do you enjoy the festival kind of space versus the one or two band kind of intimate gigs?
Yeah, I think they're really different, but I always really enjoy whenever we play at festivals. What we did like a mini festival tour at the start of this year, which was kind of like the last set of band shows that we played actually. And I had laryngitis for the last show of that tour, so that was like not great. Um, but those shows were really, really fun. And like Jay, our good friend, Mr. J. Jerome, learnt a whole heap of Velvet Bloom songs so that he could like sing for me if I couldn't
Right.
sing.
Yeah, well, that's
Just
nice.
because I found out, maybe like, well, I was on vocal rest for like 5 days, and I thought that I was just gonna come good, and I was on vocal rest until we actually arrived at the festival, so I was, like, pretty concerned. I've never had that kind of, concern when it has come to vocals before. It was, like, really scary. I had a lot of really lovely people giving me a lot of tips. I've never had laryngitis, so it was just yeah, it was really weird. It wasn't painful for the last, like, 4 days, I just, like, couldn't produce sound, and Jay was over to record this EP actually with us, and so we were meant to be tracking vocals that week and performing, like, festivals and stuff, and I was just like, I can't even make noise."
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, sorry, you asked me about festivals. The last festival that we played was, Macedon Ranges Music Festival, and it was so much fun. We had such a good
mm,
time, and I always have so much fun at festivals, but, like, put me on stage at the Night Cat and I'll have just, as much of a good time. So,
absolutely.
um, yeah, dependent.
Yeah, it kind of the magic happens at different venues too, doesn't it? And sometimes probably the least when you expect it. I'm going to play a little clip from my run at the Factory Theatre. This goes back a little bit, but just to show that you're not all, when it's set up in a band, there's a little bit more grunt to you than you give yourself credit for. So here we go. Wow, incredible.
Yeah, that was last year when we were on tour. Yeah, that was really, really fun, actually, that show particularly. Yeah, it felt like I can't remember how far along in the tour we were, but we were kinda, like, at a point where we had, like, gotten rid of most of the kinks in the set, so the actual show on stage, like, felt really nice. I think I was super stressed beforehand because Sydney is the worst place to drive.
Yeah,
And the Factory, theatre, I had to drive like, we had to drive through so much traffic, and I think we were staying in Newcastle, so we had to drive back we're on our way back from, I think we played in Hoey at the Hoey Moey in Coffs Harbour the night before, then we had to
yeah,
drive to Newcastle that night, like, from Coffs Harbour, and then had to drive from Newcastle to Sydney for sound check, and then had to play back in Newcastle the following night. So, like, we'd ironed out a lot of the kinks in terms of our, like, stage performance and stuff by that point, of the tour, but it was like yeah, it's so funny, you never see any of, like, the stressful stuff beforehand, but, like,
yeah,
that show was
absolutely.
really great.
Yeah, absolutely. And just touching on that, that band chemistry when you hit the van and you've got to drive for the next 6 7 hours, potentially more, not be late for the next gig, be fresh and ready to go. This is kind of what punters don't really um, probably give credit to the band, and they're sometimes when they can be a little bit off on a performance. It's because half the time it's because it's so exhausted from this run of tours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not all perfect, very
That's
much so.
yeah. It's hard. It's really hard, but I think, we're at a point, especially with my band, where, like, we all know each other's, like, the buttons that we don't push. So, it's pretty good
Yep.
now. I
Yep.
think, like, earlier tours, you're just, like, obviously really excited and you probably don't know each other as well and, like, yeah, like, the tiniest things will annoy you. You'll notice, like, how loudly someone chews or something, and you're like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. And just on that, on those van rides, what's an absolute must-have that comes with you on that in that van ride?
Oh, well, actually, our drummer, Nick, he always brings hummus and, bread, like,
Yep.
always.
Yep.
And I feel like Alex always has TV snacks.
Yep.
Don't know, that's, like, a staple for him.
Yep.
Um, oh, Miggy always brings a football.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, we always have car footy breaks.
Yep.
And what do I bring? I always bring, like, I usually bring, like, face masks, and while I'm
Yep.
driving, I just look, like, horrendous. Pull up in trucks.
Protecting the
Um,
voice. Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and who's the designated driver on the first trip? Who gets the first run normally?
I'm the driver, especially, like, I used to have a manual before it broke down the last tour,
Yep.
and only myself and Alex drove manual, so
Yep.
it was for a really long time, it was kind of me driving on tours, which was pretty difficult, but now my car is automatic, and also the hire car that we got last time, Nick, our drummer, just, like, smashed it. He did, like, a 9-hour drive. I think we drove from, like, Wollongong to Byron in a day, and he
Wow.
just did it, no complaints.
Yeah. Right.
So it was pretty great. Very proud of him for that.
Yep.
But yeah, so I think usually it's me, um, but I am keen to get them to drive more.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes it means driving through the night, right? Straight after a gig, pack up, let's go. That
Yeah,
must be tough. It's hard to do it a couple of times because you run a bit on energy, but after that, it's a haul, right?
fully. It can be, pretty draining when you've got, like, shows back to back for 5 nights or 4 nights or even 3 nights, like, and, you get, like, a period of time during the week to chill if you're, like, especially on our East Coast shows and stuff, and you're kind of, like, traveling, um, together, but it can be like, even your off time isn't really off time, usually, like, I mean, I work from home, so I usually work, like, while I'm on tour, like, separately to Velvet Bloom stuff, so yeah, it's pretty grueling, can be pretty
Yeah.
grueling.
Yeah. And the magic part of trying to combine work life with music life, with the obviously the vision eventually. Sure, you're not lucky enough at the moment to be able to do this 100% full time. I
No.
wish you were, but that's everyone's dream, right?
No, as I said, we've been lucky enough to get a grant, which has made, like, the actual recording process so much easier. It's, like, put a lot less stress on us to play a whole heap of shows before we kind of or, like, while we're writing and recording. So, I think it made the writing process a lot quicker. We were able to get that all done and, like, everything's finished in the writing aspects of things, and we're, like, I'd say 50% of the way there for recording. Um so yeah, having that grant money has been, like, crazy good for us.
Yep.
Yeah, and we feel really, like, lucky to have received that because honestly, yeah, I think it would have taken at least another year for us to achieve something similar. Yeah, I don't know where I would kind of be without that. I would be definitely burning the candle at both ends,
Sure.
and the music would probably suffer. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Is burnout part of it really for you, or it's just trying to manage that with the band? Really.
No, it's just a part of it for me,
Yeah.
but that's okay. Like, I feel like I'm pretty good at knowing when it's gonna happen now, and I just, like, take time off.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I work in kind of realms of the music industry that are like booking and programming and stuff as well. So I mean, you're kind of getting burnt out by that, and then you kind of go to music to do the music, and then you're getting burnt
Yeah,
out by that. Just like,
yeah,
yeah, I don't have a social life at the moment, and all my friends know that I'm just like in the studio pretty much all the time,
yeah.
and they're all so wonderful and fine with it. And they know that like at the end of it, we're going to celebrate. It's going to be great.
And just give us a little inkling into one song on this new album that's coming up. About which one do you really resonate with at the moment? Which one do you think it's like, oh, that I really love that song?
It's actually, I was talking to Alex about this the other day. It's a really hard choice because each time we're working on one of the songs that I'm just like, that's my favorite. Like that's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
But so I will tell you the one that I'm probably most excited for currently because I've been tracking vocals for it this week. And that's Realign. So I wrote that one back in 2019. And yeah, I think it's been the song that's like we've just been waiting for the right moment to release it, I think. And especially because I did write it so long ago. I think it was going to be on the EP before we chose Run to be on there.
yeah,
And then we decided to hold it for the album. And it's just like this ballad that is like, yeah, no song that I've ever heard before. So we're all so proud of that song. But yeah, there's a lot of songs as well on the EP that kind of are in the more like vintage, like Motown kind of soul
yeah.
vibe, which is really
Mm,
nice because I feel like, yeah, we've been exploring a lot. As I said, it's just been a whole process, but it's just kind of now about like how we're gonna mix everything to make it, still unique and individual, like for each song, but also to make it kind of a more cohesive body of work.
yeah. I've got a little snippet from Realign that you did put
Okay.
together. Um,
Yeah.
weirdly enough, and I know that wasn't kind of in your head, I'm sure, as far as what your favorite was at the time. And it'll be interesting to see if this is your favorite when the album comes out next year. So we'll have a chat again when that comes out. But
Yeah.
I'm just going to play a little snippet of it because I think it's a really magic little clip. We're just going to play 30 odd seconds and just get a feel for this song. I know it may not be exactly like this as the album comes out, but this is where it was at.
All this time wasted in my head, it'd be better spent coexisting with you, but I can't seem to find the right words to articulate it when you smile. That genuine smile, and I melt into the cracks of the pavement.
Does it feel different on the real track now?
Yeah, I was such a baby then. It's so
Yeah,
nice to see the progress of that song.
yeah,
As we are talking about before, because it's been around for such a long time, it has had so many different versions. Especially just like the feel. It kind of feels more ballady now, but I guess the start is still me and a guitar, so
yeah,
it feels, I guess, similar to that. But yeah, it's nice to see that in early
yeah.
stages.
Have you ever recorded multiple versions of the same song? And is that something that interests you in doing different mashups effectively?
We are actually talking about this the other day. The band had come down for a recording session, and we were talking about like redoing your album. Like, so like once we put this album out, like just redoing it, but going through like different eras.
Mm, yeah, yeah,
And so really kind of like, or like going through different genres and like making the entire album like a certain genre, because like when we play the songs, especially if we're kind of like messing around, we'll end up making it completely different to like what it is, as just kind of like a nice experiment before we get into like actual work, or sometimes like after work, or maybe if we need a break. But yeah, so we've spoken about this. It would require some funding to
Yep.
redo this entire album again, but
Absolutely.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'd be keen as.
Yeah. Or maybe it's a little EP that comes out on the back of this with a few
Yeah.
variations, possibly even a live version. Who knows?
Well, I think as well, because like we'd heard one of the earliest versions of a song from from the album called My Love, and like we were listening to what it could have kind of been before we had made the song what it is now. We had the pre-chorus as the chorus, and like it was just, yeah, it was pretty different, but it wasn't in the same soul realm. It was kind of more like R&B. And yeah, it's just really cool to kind of go back through and be like, oh, that's like, yeah, I wonder why we kind of went this way, and I wonder what the thought process was behind it. Because yeah, we explored that option, but then as soon, I don't know, it's like what you were talking about before. There's just some kind of magic when it just works. And I remember the night in the studio where we decided to add the chorus for that song specifically, and it just like everyone just looked at each other. We're like, oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And other than piano that we touched on before as an alternative kind of instrument potentially for you, if you could pick one instrument that you'd really love to say that's on the agenda, or that's one that I want to master in the future, is there one?
Oh, I mean, I've always thought of like, like a clarinet or like a flute being something nice to get into. But I think I'd have to say like violin would be really nice to learn. The bowing
Yeah.
is really interesting, and like the arrangements and stuff. We're kind of in the process of putting strings on one of our songs at the moment and trying to arrange it before we give it to the person who's actually going to play it.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. Like it's just so different to like the way that we're kind of all used to writing. And Alex and Miggy are kind of like taking the lead on that one. But yeah, it's so interesting, like going back through and like listening to a song for that purpose. Like we were listening to Etta James the other day, and like a lot of the string arrangements in those songs, and just the way that they like the strings communicate. You
Mm.
have like multiple violins, and there are some ascending and some descending, and there are just like these beautiful harmonies within that. And there's like another instrument doing kind of a more pulsy like bowing, or
Mm.
one kind of being a lot more like slow. I don't know, it's so interesting. I think the way that
Yeah, it is.
the way they work together.
Yeah, especially when you see like an orchestra put together and a whole string section, and the magic of what
Yeah.
3 or 4 violins can do together just alone. Yeah,
It's
it's
yeah,
incredible to
it's
see and
cool.
listen to. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. All
Yeah.
right, tell us something if you can. It doesn't have to be about you, but potentially you. A little bit quirky. That was something that your friends and stuff don't really know about you as a band. Is there some little quirk? Whether it's in a must do before a gig, is there something backstage, something in the rider? How does it work for you guys? Is there someone, either you or tip one of your band members in?
I'm trying to think of like who has weird habits. I'm I retreat before like shows. I need an hour of solitude. I just
Yep.
I
Yep.
go inward very much. And if I don't have that, I am like not usually the most kind of performative version of myself, like on stage.
Yep.
Um I
Are you a
actually
nervous? Are you a nervous before a gig still? Or does that
um
always happen?
it's not nervous, it's more just like having, oh, actually no, sometimes I think it depends on the thing, but it's more about not feeling like you're in the right place, like to be performing.
Yep.
I kind of sometimes just need like a bit of time to get into it. I'm trying to think of quirky things. Um I really love to have like soup. So I usually send someone off on some like soup expedition to go and find me
Yep.
something that's like warm and liquid.
Yep.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know if that's quirky though. I think that's just like pretty
That's
standard for
dangerous. That's dangerous just before a gig for sure.
me. Not
Um,
like it's more like sound check.
yeah,
'Cause
cool.
we
Cool.
you get there early and then, like, you're there for a
Yep.
long time, and otherwise I don't eat beforehand, which is, yeah, not good at all.
Yep.
Because sometimes the sound check's, like, 3 hours before the gig starts, then you've got support acts, and then, yeah, you don't end up eating, and then it
Yep.
gets to, like, 12 o'clock or something when you finish playing, and then the only thing that's open is Macca's, and you just don't want
No,
that.
not pre-gig. No.
Or after, I don't know, it
Or
just
after,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Especially when
Personally
you're about to hit the road and drive for 9 hours.
and everyone's just greasy and, yeah,
Yeah.
not good. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I'll have
Um,
to have a think. I'll let you know if there's any quirky band traits.
yeah,
Yeah, I
you
think
can
we're all
post one
pretty
in the comments later.
yeah, we're all pretty open books when it comes to, like, our personalities. I'd say that we're all pretty, pretty unique. But,
Yep.
yeah, maybe that uniqueness doesn't, like, translate into something quirky because we think it's normal.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
right. That's probably someone else. Someone else probably tells me. And it's a bit of quirky fashion too, no doubt. That jacket is an absolute ripper. We have to mention that jacket you're wearing tonight.
Oh, Jay actually saved this one for me. He was gonna sell it before he came up to Victoria. He had like a yard sale in Tassie, and he was like, "I saw this and I thought of you, so I'm just gonna like keep it." And I got home and it was on my bed, and I was like, "Yes."
There you go. It's a special shout out. That's an absolute killer. So I'd
Yeah,
like to see that on stage one day for sure.
you
Um,
will. I'm sure.
so how long before we get to see you guys on stage again?
We actually don't. Oh no, we do have plans. We're traveling down to Tassie actually over New Year's, so we'll be playing at a little festival called Bonsaki Festival, which I'm really excited about. Oh, I don't think they've announced it yet, so this
There you
is
go. There's a scoop.
a hot scoop.
Yeah.
And maybe some other kind of shows down in Tassie, but I'm sure we'll be playing here soon. But honestly, we're just trying to smash out the album. I think it'll be
Yep.
finished in December. And then, yeah, we've got mastering locked in for the 16th of January. So, yeah.
Exciting. So mid-year, worst case. By the time
Yeah.
it's and are we talking vinyl as well? Hopefully with this one.
Yeah. And we've got, the artwork and the concept designs like really exciting. I've got our housemate slash incredible creative. His name is Josh Davies, and he's helping with like a lot of the conceptual stuff for the artwork. And it's been so nice working with him on that. But yeah, so we're really excited for that, and we've kind of nailed down the key themes and
Yep.
colors and stuff. But
Beautiful.
yeah, we haven't executed the shoot yet, but
Yep.
it will happen soon.
How important for you is the shoot really? The shoot, whether it be just the photo shoot and obviously the what becomes the album cover and all the inserts and everything else, but also the video component for you. Do you think it's still really important for you guys as a band that you put something out that's a visual component as well?
I think for us it is like, well, maybe not for everyone in the band, but I think for me it is. I like to have like a comprehensive kind of release, and a lot more that I can promote with it. I hate coming up with like all of the you know reels and stuff that aren't just like creative outside of TikTok or Instagram.
Yep.
Personally, that's just like something that because like I do so much work in marketing for other businesses, and I just like
Yep.
it's just not what I want to do for Velvet Bloom Because I so much more enjoy like coming up with a concept and really kind of making it a slow burn where you're like either teasing something or like, you know, I can involve other creatives in it and they can have like a really big part of something that we're creating and it can become something that's like more community based. I think that stuff's really important for me. And not to say like sometimes I love like making collaboration videos on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff, but like it's not something that I like to think of when I'm in the middle of a campaign. It's so nice when I've just already got like, for example, House of Vera, like when they shot their music video for Miles Away, they just had like all this content. It was so easy to just like grab snippets from it and promote it in that way, just
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
just there and you don't have to like think of it. You're already doing like so many interviews, like you're probably touring, you probably got like a lot of other kind of things going on when you're kind of like responding to or either doing grant applications or responding to like questionnaires to go on like blogs and that.
Yeah.
Doing like live sessions. It's just like somewhere I prefer to spend my time doing all that stuff pre-release.
Yeah.
Than kind of
Sure.
yeah.
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 All right. Couple last questions. The first one is, give us a band or a individual artist that we should be listening to right now. Who is there? Someone you're listening to, and it can be new or old. It doesn't really matter. But is it someone that you're really kind of vibing with at the moment, or someone that locally that we should be definitely go out and check out?
I have so many, but for now I'm gonna give you one and I'm gonna say their name is Bumpy. You probably know them. Incredible soul singer. But yeah, her stuff is really beautiful.
Okay.
And also Jyothi as well, or like Wild Gloriosa, her other
Okay.
projects. Check
Yep.
them out. Yeah.
All right. No problem. One that I could definitely see with you guys on the same bill is an artist we've had on this show called Mosey. I'm not sure if you know
Ah,
Mosey.
yes. So he's
Yeah.
one of my best
Well,
friends.
there you
Yeah.
go. I can see a lot of inspiration and influence between you two guys.
Yeah.
I think you guys would be a magic gig together. So who knows?
Yeah.
Could put
We
it on the
should
list one day.
I think it'll happen probably soon. Like she did a remix of one of the songs from our EP that came out last year. And that was the first time we kind of like interacted. So that was really cool.
There you
And
go.
then we met and just became like close really quickly. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, she's
I
great.
know.
She's
Yeah,
so
no.
talented.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And definitely one that is a friend of our show. So we look forward to having her back as well. And the last question for tonight is, you're having a dinner party, the old dinner party question.
Yep.
Now, these people, you're got to invite, it's you and 5 other guests. Okay. So keep the 5 in memory. They can be living or dead. Who would they be?
All right. I'm gonna go with it's gonna be so hard. All right, Aretha Franklin
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
is one big one. Freddie Mercury is
Yeah, cool.
um, let's say Jeff Buckley,
Yeah,
um, Curtis Mayfield,
yeah, yeah.
and I should probably pick someone living. Hey, let's go with Beyonce, Queen Bee.
That'd be a cool dinner party, that's for sure.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
Yeah, some great stories and some great front people or front
There'd
artists.
be a lot of energy, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, some power in that room for sure.
Yeah.
Maddie, you're an absolute star. Thanks for joining us tonight. We wish you all the best with Velvet Bloom and all the other little projects that you get yourself involved in. And we really hope that this can become a full-time gig for you over time, because you've got so much to offer the rest of the world. And hopefully you can get not only travel Australia, but be able to take this little baby on the road. And hopefully this little show can resonate under some people. I know we've got a couple of people from Canada watching now, so they can take a little bit of Velvet Bloom with them, and they can pass it on to their friends. So all the best, and we'll talk soon. If you're looking for some details, that's where you look up Velvet Bloom Music for sure, and you can check out some details there. But once again, Maddie, thanks for joining us, and have a great week.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya. Oh, how good to have Maddie as part of our chat with So What's Been Happening on episode 108. So just highlighting again tomorrow night that Stephen Holmes from a band called Humble is going to join us. And then Wednesday night, Emily South, and then heading into album launch mode for the rest of the week. So stay safe, get out there and see a gig, support an artist, and most importantly, find an artist that you don't know. And if you've come across Maddie and Velvet Bloom for the first time tonight, like so many people have, please shoot it out to a friend. And most importantly, jump on Bandcamp, buy an album or an EP and gift it to a friend. That's a beautiful touch. And I guarantee you they will enjoy the music. So all the best. Have a great week. And we'll see you tomorrow night.